Well, I guess we're all having a lot of rain all across the country, but some people are getting it in frozen type rain. Other people are just getting other people are just getting regular rain. But it has been certainly wet, and we know that God uses it to cleanse the earth, cleanse the air, and so He has a purpose for everything, including rain. We're in Romans. We're looking at some of my favorite passages going backwards from Revelation to Genesis. And today we're in chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Therefore, well, what for? We just ended up chapter 11 and verses 33 through 36, and it was praising God. Just praising God because He's so good, because He's just a wonderful, wonderful, superior being. And so therefore, because He's such a wonderful God, I urge you, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living and holy sacrifice, acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove that the will of God is what the will of God is, and that it is good and acceptable and perfect. It's a great verse. In response to who God is, we should present ourselves, all of us, our entire body, as a living and holy sacrifice, which is acceptable to God for spiritual service. And that we need to do what He says, and that is not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds, that we may prove what the will of God is, which is good and acceptable and perfect. It's very, very important in this end days that we live in to recognize that we are a light in the world. We're aliens to the world, but we're also witnesses and ambassadors to the world for Jesus Christ. Now remember, in Romans chapter 1 through 11, we had doctrinal statements. And now in chapters 12 and through the end of the book, we have the behavioral section of the gospel, of Romans. And so what we're doing here is we're now looking at our behavior in response to the doctrine of God. And here it's to present ourselves living sacrifices. On Sunday night, I teach a group of youth the things that make a disciple, what it costs to be a disciple, what it means to be a disciple. And on Wednesdays, I've begun a series with senior adults and other church members at Five Forks Baptist Church, telling them about how we can learn with the apostles, who were, of course, the first original 12 disciples. And we certainly are learning from them. And one of the things that we're learning is they presented themselves as living sacrifices. Even though the scripture only says that one of them died martyr's death, the historians and the other traditional writers of the day said they all but one died martyr's deaths. And they were scattered all over the country, all over the whole region, the whole continent, as they were continuing to share the gospel message. They understood what it meant to not be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of their minds. And they knew what it meant to be living sacrifices. And I hope that you'll think about that as you head out to church on Sunday, that you're ambassadors for Christ. You were bought with a price, and therefore you should glorify God in your body. And that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.